Because if you are good at something, you will just assume that everyone else has the same experience of that thing. You will like, nah, this is just how it is. Right now, Stian is in a place in Norway called 𝐓𝐡𝐞. That's also where his travel partner is. And right now there is this huge thing that is happening that I cannot wait to share, because this is something that is so inside of all of us, but we tend to ignore it. And I'm saying that we tend to ignore it because I've talked to so many people and we know that we ignore it. Like, I have this feeling many times and I have a tendency to just shove it away. So that's something that I really want to talk about. So the first thing is just being happy. Are you happy? Are you fulfilled? Do you love every second of your life? Because that is the secret, isn't it? That's where you want to go. And for some people, it might seem impossible, but I have a secret. I have a end-all, be-all solution. No, that's a lie. That is, of course, a lie. But hear me out. Yesterday, I was reminded of my power. My superpower. Everyone has a superpower. My superpower was never really a thing that was clear, and it was never something that I think maybe I was born with it. I should have had hair for that. But then, I have never really considered it as a superpower, which is why it is a superpower. Most people will have, I think every people on planet Earth has something that they are just amazing at. And it is so blind to most people because they are so amazing at it. Ironic, right? It's a paradox. Because if you are good at something, you will just assume that everyone else has the same experience of that thing. You will like, nah, this is just how it is. This is what the human experience is all about. But you have something inside of you that just ignites the energy field around you, if you will. For me, it is sitting there in complete silence and shutting up. You know those awkward silences? I love those because there's so much noise in the silence. My superpower is to listen deeply. Not just listen, but to really be there with you, to follow you on your thoughts, to see the pictures that is coming from the thoughts, and just really being with you on the journey. And then as I'm doing that, I'm getting fulfilled. It feels weird. It's actually so big that there was a time where I felt like I was cheating on my partner when I was doing this, because I got so fulfilled by really listening to a person, really being there. And then over time, I learned these small hacks, right? When I'm speaking, I don't speak unless I have something to say. So very often I just shut the fuck up. I don't allow myself to interject any similar situations. If a person is talking to something that changed their life, many will feel like, oh yeah, this reminds me of the time I did this. Well, that takes it away from the flow, because if you're really in there, you can just be a part of the energetic exchange, the magic that happens when a human really goes in deep. And that rarely happens, because in today's age, listening and talking on such a deep level is something that is rarely seen. And again, I'm talking from my experience. Maybe some of you have a fantastic listening partner that you just know you can share anything with. But that is not the case for everyone. Not everyone is sitting there with the security to share whatever they feel like, and then being seen in that. Then to really be acknowledged for the warrior that they are. Because when you go deep, usually it's because of a challenge. Usually it's because of a fear or something that you had to go through, which could also be seen as a trauma, or something that you experienced that just shaped you forever and now you can't get it out of your head. But if you share it, that's why the 100-day challenge is so freaking magical, because if you share it, you get it out there, right? The camera became my sparring partner for this. And when I'm talking to people, they get it out there. When it gets out there and you get the feedback from what other people think, not just what you think, because you have this association, you have this feeling about what you think about that you might think everyone else would have the same. You know, maybe you say something that is embarrassing. That's a good thing. Embarrassing things. So you say something that just embarrassed the shit out of you one time, and now you are embarrassed to share that with anyone else because it's like, what the fuck will they say? They will mock me, they will freeze me out. These are the things that we usually think about. But if other people have done something one up to you, or have seen something similar, or just loves to support and be there for another person, you will get that that reflection to see it from a different perspective. And all of a sudden, it's a thing that you can be thankful for, because now you understand what urine tastes like. Now you're like, why did he just say what urine tastes like? Because that's one of my things. I had this horrible event where I tasted my own piss. And it was a very, very long story, which I'm not going to go into right now. But over time, I shared this with people, and they seemed to really understand what that was like, what that was all about. And it became a completely different memory. We've all done shit that we think we have to be the only person that did this. Holy shit, like, it's not possible. It's so absurd that it's not possible for anyone else to understand how insane this situation was. It is. It is. And that's when the magic happens. Because when you share those things, the embarrassing things, the painful things, the hard things, the things that inspires you, motivates you, the things that you love, the things that fulfills you, the things that you're drawn by, the things that you think about, the things that you feel about, the thing that you think about. I could probably go on forever because this is so important for me. It's such an integral part of my being. And that's why I want to be there for you. If you have anything that you think about, if you don't feel seen, if you don't feel acknowledged, if you don't feel respected for the warrior that you are, if you have not seen the different perspectives of your journey to really see the power of your soul, I'm there for you. I'm there for you. Hook me up, because that's what gives me life. You know, some people have actually told me when I'm sitting there, I went out to this pub and I was sitting there all sober. I was drinking water and coffee. And actually, as a matter of fact, sometimes when you go to a pub and you drink water, you will be offered coffee for free because they see that you're not drinking. So obviously you have to be some insanely weird person. So as I'm sitting there, I'm talking to these people. And I was talking to a guy about the Gnostic way of thinking about life, and Marcus Aurelius, and we were talking about fear, and we were talking about all these different things that just lights me the fuck up. And all of a sudden I have a person coming up on my left, and it was like, how can you stand listening to this? Actually, let's do this. Dude, and what happened when you got out of that? What was on the other side of that fear, bro? I cannot understand how you can stomach this nonsense of a drunk. What do you mean? I'm just saying, I would have been fed up a long time ago. And you've been sitting here for what, 40 minutes? I'm like, that is interesting. That's interesting. Because this is what gives me life. So for me, it's a no-brainer. Of course I'll sit here. I want to know why you think like that. Tell me more. Wait, I just have to finish this conversation first, right? And then you have all of these different interactions. That is my superpower. What was the point of that? Where was I going with that? Yes, just when you share, some people might not see why it's valuable. Some people might not see it as a possibility because they don't know that there are people out there who genuinely care about listening to your stories, to listening to your essence, listening to who you really are, and listening to how they can help you. And I'm talking about me helping you. Because when I've been on my journey, I have seen things, and I have learned things, and I've done things. I've met different questions and different challenges, and those have led me to find the answers to those questions and challenges. So as I've been just going through this, it's like every single person has a mountain, and every single mountain has a different path. And there will always be different scenery and details of each path. But the same goal is on the top of the mountain. And, you know, following the mountain down to the bottom, there's always these similar steps, these similar milestones. And we can approach those from a lot of different angles. Like if I see something and I do it my way, then maybe you going through something right now makes sense to you when listening to how I did my thing, because now it's like, oh shit, yes, of course. I should feel more and think less. I should accept the fact that I'm just able to do that if I want to do it. Oh my God, yes. Right? I'm saying, oh my God, yes, because that's one of those huge things. When you talk and you hear something that makes sense to you, you might not need more than 3 words. How are you? 20 minutes later, maybe we've talked about something, maybe you have talked about something that really got you deep. And when you got deep, you were like, oh my God, it's me. Holy shit. Now I get it. All I have to do is this thing. But then it's hard to do the thing if that is a thing that scares you, because often the right thing to do is the thing that scares you. So I'm just going to have to take this phone call, and then I will be with you in just a second. Oh, wow. Så vi kan lage absolutt alt det vi tenker på, uansett hva det er for noe. Jeg vil ha en flygende kost. Oh my God, jeg gleder meg til å fly. Ok, hva annet skal du lage da? Hvis jeg sier at jeg vil ha en flygende kost, hva kan du lage for å ha det like gøy med meg når jeg flyr rundt på en kost? Om du tenker på en tryllestav. Aha. Og hva kan den tryllestaven gjøre? Uten kost? Jeg vil også ha en sånn en. Den høres mye bedre ut enn tryllestaven. Nei, enn kosten. Hvis du kan lage en tryllestav som kan få en til å fly, så hadde jeg lett hatt en sånn en i stedet for en kost. Du kan få tag i kostyme til Harry Potter. Alt mulig. Håndkle og badekåpe. Store, sinnssyke slanger som du kan ha som kjæledyr.
Ja.
Pegasusset.
Ja.
Store edderkopper som er like store som huset.
Ja.
Åh, sånn en vil jeg ha. Skal du ha en sånn en?
Nei takk. Jeg skal være sånn hai.
En hai?
Five minutes later.
Probably even more than that. My daughter called and we had a long conversation. It was actually an hour ago, I think, she called, and we just hung up. So, where were we? About communication and being in the flow and listening, truly listening to another person, right? Yesterday I broke one of my records. And I realized today that 1/3 of my day went to talking. And now that's not really that impressive if you think about it. Well, you talk to someone, you talk to people 1/3 of your day. Yeah, that's one way to see it. This was one person, one call, 8 hours and 30 minutes in one call. And I think that was a personal record. And it is the second call with this person. And the first one was 6 hours. So I think that is a very good indicator that when you have a flow that goes through the conversation for such a long time, both people are going into those deeper concepts of being human, right? And that's when conversations take on a completely new form, because then the energy is created. That's why I said I felt bad when I did this, talk to people with my partner sitting inside, for instance, because I got so much from those calls. And it was the energy exchange in itself. And the energy exchange was simply just being in the story of the other person who's talking. It's weird, though, like how that is such a fulfilling thing. I've been asking myself why, but that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. It is to meet interesting, inspiring, and motivating people, to really see the different aspects of humanity. And I think this happened after I got into the whole energetic space and you know, the medicine and all those things. So fascinating. And what else was that I had a few things that I wanted to talk about, because this goes directly into magic, and then the conversations now with my daughter calling and the things that we talked about, it just paints a picture of where things are right now, what is going on in life right now. And it is so insanely huge and great. Like this morning I woke up to a magical message on my wall, my public wall on Facebook, and it was Michelle. And she just said that I was a special person for them and that I matter. You know, that you can never get enough of. You know, we are in a feeling when we're together. Like when the family is together, we are in the feeling of love. So you're just living it. It's the status quo. It's not something that you can really explain. It's not something to really think about needs explaining because everyone knows, right? But then you see that in text coming from this person who is so important, and it just shifts your reality because that has been my issue. My issue has been to see, am I worth it? Is there any value that I can actually provide? Do I feel like I'm providing value? Am I feeling good about what I'm doing? All of these questions has been really haunting me, and I think that is a good freaking indication. Because if I was just to do this because of money, I would have given up a long time ago. If I was to do this and not get enough money, as opposed to what I expected, I would also give up. So because it's not about money, because it is about how to really deliver the best version that you possibly can, and then always think, is this going to be worth it? Is this going to achieve what I want other people to feel? That genuine love and genuine interest to elevate other people's lives. Simply because you see that by elevating other people's lives, by making other people feel better, their reflection of that emotion fuels you even more. So it's kind of an egocentric act if you think about it. You're doing everything that you can to provide insane value to another person. And when you do that, if you can help them in any way that is elevating their life experience, then that energy gets back into you and you just become a larger container, it feels like. Like the energy that fills me when I do these things makes me feel like my body and my essence and my whole being is expanding. And then when that happens every single time, you go and wonder, what the heck? How much more is possible then? When is it enough? When is the container filled? When have one reached the outer borders of how much one can expand? And that is so fascinating. So I have this I would say almost a dharma, a calling. I have this habit that I need to do every day, where it's to have at least one meaningful conversation every single day. Because when I do that, I get the energy to continue doing that, which is so insane. And I think that just speaks to the thing of finding your truth, your essence. I think it can take on very many different forms. And every person has that unique thing that really fuels them. And in my mind, as I said earlier, if you always have a question to find an answer for, you'll always go and find new things to get challenged by and meet and, go over and through those challenges to see what happens on the other side. Because when you do those things and it just continues, it seems like the flow is getting more pure, if that makes sense. It's like a river, and it's just more and more clear mountain water. Whereas in the beginning, there was garbage and there were oil spills, and there was all of these different shit that had to be cleaned up. Maybe there was this swamp, and the water just got still there and it died a little bit and just got disgusting and smelly. But the more the river flows and is pure with the purest essence of mountain water, I think the easier things happen. The easier things gets created because it's so pure. Like just talking about synchronicities. If you have not seen a synchronicity or experienced it, it's like when you see something happening on Facebook and it's you just mentioned it, right? I want these pair of shoes, and all of a sudden you see just that pair of shoes on Facebook. Now that's an algorithmic control system that is meant to get your money because you're a consumer. We are all consumers. What I'm talking about is when the universe does that. When you have a thought and it's something amazing, and just moments after you are presented with this quest, like, do you want to take this? The mission, should you approve, is up to you, right? So when I see these things and I talk about these things and I feel that river flow more clearly, and I just feel that everything is genuinely, authentically aligned with my true purpose, SLS, then there's a no-brainer. Like for me, I have to get more of that. It's a drug. It is a drug. I am getting pulled towards the next level if there is one. And if I find it, I usually do. And then I was like, yay. Now it can't get better. And then it gets better. And then it gets better. And then it gets better. It's just continuously expanding. But how far can it go? How far can that go? Because this is what we're talking about all over the place today. The whole expanding of consciousness. It sounded like crazy science maniac kind of things when I first heard about it. The secret, manifestation, law of attraction, the reggae music, all these things. It was like, oh, this is just bullshit. This can't, you know? And when you see The Matrix and you're like, that's a cool movie. I saw the entire Matrix series, like all the movies, last week. And I was blown away by what I saw this time around compared to the first time I saw it. It's like reading The Alchemist. The first time you read it, if you're in the beginning of the journey, there are so many things that is going to be an eye-opener. And then it's like, oh, that was a good book, right? And you see the whole essence of the book and the story of the book, and you appreciate the narrative. But then you go about your life and you do things that is directly connected to the book. And then you see things and learn things, insights that are so much deeper than what you could previously comprehend. Because it's like, you cannot intellectually explain an experience that goes emotionally deep into your essence without experiencing the experience. That's why it's so important to walk the talk, right? So in the book, if you're following this guy, Santiago, and you're seeing his story first, and then all of a sudden you see your story, and then all of a sudden you see the value of the story, and then it's like, oh my God. Happiness is supposed to come from within, and that makes sense because that's the entire adventure. What is the question, the challenge, something that you could lead to the next iteration of figuring out what lights you up from within? Right? That's why it's such a unique experience that everyone probably have their own unique adventure, but as, you know, the mountain has one top, and we can all relate to each other's journeys. And I don't want to drag this video out for a lot longer, but if you have any interest in seeing how this feels like, just go out there and meet someone new. And then just see what happens if you ask one of those good questions. How are you really doing? And then just wait for them to tell you really how they're doing. Are you going to get so many insights, so many journeys and experiences from other people's experience that is inexplicably good. It is a drug. It is a natural drug. And you can't get enough of it because the more you get, the more you give, the more you give, the more you get again. So it's like continuously adding upon itself. But with all of what I've just said being said, have a fantastic day. And if you don't, make it a fantastic day. And if you don't know how, call me. Call.theseppola.com. It sounds like Ghostbusters sometimes. I wish I had one of those numbers. But let's make everything fucking amazing. There is so much magic in this world. Just looking into a freaking water drop, which sounded like woo-woo bullshit for me before, but now is like, what? Look at the fractal patterns and the universes within universes, and what if this is just a little part? Let's not do that right now. That is a tangent waiting to happen. I love your face. I truly do, and you know where to start the journey. You know where everything can begin. If you have no way of going right now, trust me, there are people just yearning to get you there. Because the more people we get there, the better life for everyone becomes. No bullshit whatsoever. Love your face.